Hello there. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Bengals UK online tailgate. My name is Paul. Look at that. We're all getting started and waving flags already. And of course, it is AFC Championship Game weekend. Isn't that surreal and rather marvellous to say that we are in that game? And of course, it is tomorrow night. We are 2-0 when it comes to playoff tailgate, so we daren't miss this one. But because we're having meetups tomorrow night, we thought the only way to do this was to do one tonight, a day early. So hopefully this will get you in the mood. We're hoping for some live music. We've got some food stuff coming up. We've got a British Bengals fan over in Kansas City, and joining us now here is, as you can see, dastardly Duncan. Duncan, how you doing?
Solid handle.
Love it, Pete. Yeah, great to be here. Yeah, privileged to be on a playoff tailgate. So yeah, rooted through my stuff and dug out the old rally towel, feeling we might need it. So yeah,
absolutely. And of course, Peter down as well. Peter, how you doing?
Not too bad. I don't understand what's going on. This just feels weird. I'm normally knee deep in mock drafts at the moment, and
right.
we're still playing. We're still playing serious football this time. Oh wow, it's incredible!
Yeah, absolutely. We've all got to, we provided a link, so do come and say hello if you want to. We've already got a couple of people lining up. So let's bring in Bengals Rolly. Bengals Rolly, how you doing? You've got a lovely
I'm all right, Paul. I'm all right, Peter. I'm actually in Manchester at the moment, walking down Deansgate.
Okay, are you going to go to the meetup tomorrow? Is that?
Yeah, I hope so. I've got to go and see Ross Noble and then have dinner with my daughter, and then I'll go in after about probably second half.
And Rolly, are you representing strong there? Are you excited? What's the feeling?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. I've been following it all week. It's been building, hasn't it? I know it's a tough ask for the team, but I think everyone's so excited. It's been 30 since 1988 since the AFC Championship. Can't wait.
And I know, Rolly, that we are both of a similar vintage. So, what do you remember of the last Championship game?
Well, I mean, I remember Tim. Well, I can't remember the AFC Championship game, but I remember the Super Bowl, and I remember Tim Cromrye's broken leg. And I remember Stanford Jennings' return for a touchdown. That's all I remember. And then the heartbreak.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we won't talk about that, Riley. We're trying to be positive tonight.
I know,
but all right, mate. Well, thank you for coming on. Have a great time this weekend.
I mean, you're going to London, you guys. You're going to the London one?
All being well, yes. All being well. Yeah. All right, mate. Have a good one. Enjoy the meetup.
Take care. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. That was Rolly and his lovely ear. And we've got another Bengals fan waiting to come. We've got another one as well. Goodness me. Right, let's talk to Darmid.
No.
Darmid, how you doing, man?
Hello, Paul. Can you hear me?
Yeah, coming through loud and clear. Nice to meet you finally. You've interacted with us for a while, so it's lovely to meet you.
Yeah, it is too, because it's good to have this, because it's been really, really good this season. I've been following them since 2011. So Andy Dalton, AJ Green, when they were drafted, that was the first year I supported the team. So it's now great that they're on a playoff run.
I can hear your Irish accent. Are you in Ireland?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. So how are you feeling about the sorry, I was looking for my glasses for ages and then I just literally saw them under the computer. So apologies for my shock, surprise and delight. How are you feeling, man? Are you confident, or are you kind of calm? Are you nervous, excited, a mixture of both? What's going on?
I don't know what. Yeah, well, before the Raiders game, I was really nervous with the fact with the long drought we had, but since really we've overcome that drought, I'm not feeling as bad. But I know we're facing a beast with the Chiefs tomorrow in Arrowhead. But when we played them back in January, they made no major mistakes, and we still beat them 38-35, which was really obviously great win to win the division. But I feel surprisingly a wee bit confident that we can actually get it done. But still, obviously, they've hosted 4 AFC Championship games in a row. It's going to be a tough test.
It really is.
But the crucial thing is they've hosted 4 AFC Championship games, but they've never hosted the Cincinnati Bengals in an AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Fair point.
No. Yeah, but
Dermot doesn't seem much enthused by that.
No,
point,
he doesn't. He doesn't.
No. Where are you watching the game tomorrow, Dermot? Are you at home? Are you going out? What's the deal? I know that in Ireland it's a bit stricter over there, isn't it? Or have they opened up?
Yeah, I'll be watching it at home tomorrow. Yeah, I've been watching this whole season at home, so I'll be going to try and keep it up. Yeah. Will you be in London tomorrow watching it, Paul? Or
sorry, say again.
Will you be in London at that meetup watching it?
I'm hoping to. I've had a bit of a COVID scare the last couple of days, but I've tested negos for 3 days. Well, yeah, 3 days in a row. Tomorrow, hopefully, it'll be the 4th. So it'll be a late fitness test for me tomorrow. But I am feeling better. I think I just had a cold. So, but there we go. Dermot, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for all your interaction, mate. Enjoy the game tomorrow.
Thanks, Paul. Pleasure. Thanks, Peter. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Take care.
All right, mate. Speak to you soon.
Take care.
Next to come on, he's disappeared. It was Omar. Let's go to some messages, shall we? Jay Cola, cheers to the Houday Nation across the water. Cincinnati is bitter cold. We've seen snow on the ground, haven't we?
We have,
Snowy and hazardous for driving. Our team is ready to leave it all on the field. The opportunity is now. Houday. Matthew Morris, Houday. You'll see more of Moz and his potty mouth later on. Ronald Smales, Houday, Ron from Hull. Nice one, Ron. Houday to you. Lovely Anna Pearson on Facebook says Houday. Houday to you, Anna. I'm sure Ronald was lovely as well, but I've had some interaction with Anna, so I know that she's lovely. Andrew Knott, Houday. Still can't quite believe this is happening. I don't think any of us can, but we've got to grasp the nettle and enjoy it and believe and, go on, Pete.
Paul, we had a conversation in our chat earlier on about not necessarily traditions, but things that we've been doing during this great run, and have superstitions. Let's call it superstitions. And it'd be interesting to see if anyone else has anything out there that they've some practice they've picked up on that they're doing during this run, and they're not going to break it until the season does come to an end. So it'd be good to hear if anyone has got anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's exactly why we wanted to do this tailgate, just because we had to keep the run going. But Omar is now with us. He's waiting in the wings. Let's bring in Omar. Omar, how you doing, man?
Very well, very well. Really excited about tomorrow. I just can't wait.
There you go. I mean,
you've so exciting.
You've got a beautiful big smile on your face. We can feel excited.
How can you not? How can you not? I tell you what, really, really crazy things happened. Where I live in the Midlands, and just last week I was taking my daughter to school. About lunchtime, she goes to nursery, and I saw a chap walking his dog wearing a Bengals hoodie, and I wasn't sure. Sometimes people can just wear something without really knowing what it is or what it means. So I asked him. I said, "Are you a Bengals fan?" And he said, "Yeah, he's a big Bengals fan." And what I've noticed, just anecdotally, I've just seen a couple more Bengals merch around town. And it's shocking. I thought I was the only one in the whole country until very recently who supported the Bengals. But
winning brings them all out into the open, doesn't it? Really, suddenly they're proud to wear their Bengals jerseys and their merch out and about, saying, "Look,
absolutely."
And it's also quite good when you do see someone out and about. The greeting can just be a Houday. I went to, for my sins, the Sheffield Wednesday game today, and I saw someone in a Bengals a hat. You have to go across and say Houday, and had a quick chat about the game, and it's fantastic that for a so-called small franchise, we're seeing more and more out and about, and this continued success will only help that.
Absolutely, and it's interesting because people have differing levels of interest or knowledge about the Bengals, even if they are a fan. So when I spoke to him, I said, "Oh, how do you think we'll do?" This was just before the Raiders game. I wasn't really sure what response he'd give me, but he gave me a really in-depth response. He knew his stuff. He was interested. He knew about the team, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, the running back. Whereas I consider myself quite knowledgeable. I didn't expect that level of response from just a stranger on the street. So it's just really exciting times. And as for tomorrow, I tell you what, we could not have had a better preparation for this game in terms of having beaten them already. We beat them just 3 weeks ago. Let's not forget that. The whole world seems to think that we haven't played them or we're just not ready for them. No, we played them very recently. They were hot and we beat them. And not only that, we've come through 2 tough games after the Chiefs. We had a bit of a bye week. Don't forget, so we're fresher than a lot of other teams. I know it wasn't a real bye week, but we rested a lot of our key players against the Browns. And then we had tough games against the Raiders and Titans, which has put us in real good shape for tomorrow. And you know what? Winning in Tennessee with that crowd is the perfect way to prepare for Arrowhead. So I'm not afraid of their noise either. We've already dealt with noise.
Omar, you need to be coming on more often. This positivity is infectious.
Let's do it. I'll be on anytime. I love it. I love this show. Thank you for your content, by the way. I've been
very welcome. You're very welcome.
Yeah, I've been quietly listening to you guys for about 12 months or so, without ever really contributing. But just I couldn't not contribute this time. I really wanted to.
Well, this is what we do it for, Omar. For people like you to come on, share your views, say hello, make friends, build the community.
Thank you.
It's all good. Omar, we're gonna have to leave it, mate. Have a great time tomorrow and a who day.
Let's do it. Mate. Who day.
Who day.
Now, just before we bring in our next, I know Mike is waiting in the wings. Mike, if you're okay to wait 10 minutes or so, sorry, mate. A couple of people that we know have gone over to Kansas City. So here's the lovely Dave Cass there at Arrowhead. I think he went on a stadium tour yesterday. And here is Dave on a stadium, in the stadium tour, but in front of a certain Patrick Mahomes locker. So hopefully he did a big poo in his locker or something like that. Who knows? Speaking of big poos, here's what Dave's been eating. This is some bona fide Kansas City barbecue there. So Dave is getting stuck in to everything. And I'm delighted to say Dave is with us now live from Kansas City. Let's say hello to Dave. Dave.
Hi there, Paul.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Nice and big because you're the star.
We can hear you.
Yeah, coming through loud and clear, mate. Thanks for coming on at such short notice. You're a star as ever. And I know a lot of people know you from the meetups and whatnot. When on earth did you decide to go to Kansas City, man?
Oh, it was a real tough one. I saw the Titans game with Paul in the with Nathan in the casino last week, and we had a fantastic time. And I kind of came out and thinking, do you know what? I would really like to go and see a game. And I had one idea about just keeping my eye open for, if we just won and just got to the Super Bowl, then that would be great. But I took a look at the Super Bowl tickets, and the prices they're astronomical. So I thought, well, what about Kansas? And, but the flights weren't too bad. The tickets weren't too bad. The hotel was okay as well. So I kind of just took the decision to go for it. So, I kind of arrived on Thursday night and here I am. So, it's been great.
Wow. How long after Evan McPherson kicked it from 52 yards did you actually press send in the booking online?
Do you know what? Actually, not massively quickly, because I wasn't sure about going. Because I thought, can I hold out? Can we just hold out for that great Super Bowl? And I'd love to go to a Super Bowl. And then I did that, but then I looked at the Super Bowl ticket prices, and I don't know if you've seen them, but I mean, even now, without knowing who the teams are, they're talking about $7,000 or $8,000. It's probably going to go up to like 10, 12 grand as soon as the teams are known. And while I've got a very sympathetic wife who's been fantastic, I think that's going to be a step too far. So,
what you mean? She won't she won't sanction you remortgaging the house? Is that what you were saying, Dave?
She's such a meanie. She really is.
I don't know. All right, so tell us about KC. I mean, it looks like a great place from the outside. What have you been up to since you've been there? We've seen a flavour of what you've been up to, but tell us a bit more.
Yeah, it's great. So, it's not a huge city, and pretty much everyone is wearing red Kansas City stuff. I mean, it's just absolutely dominating the place at the moment. So yeah, I kind of done quite a lot already. So I went to Union Station, which is kind of the big railway station there, and I saw these guys, and they were the only two Cincinnati people I'd seen, and they were like TV journalists, and they interviewed me, so that was really great. And so I got on Cincy TV. I gave you guys a shout out, by the way, both you, Paul and Nathan. Nice. So that was good fun. And then I went for a stadium tour, and that was all. Yeah, it was good. Hopefully, Patrick Mahomes' equipment isn't going to work quite as well as he thought it would do. I've had a little play around. But you know, in all seriousness, it was a really good stadium tour. So if any of you guys come over to Kansas at all for a game, definitely get that one in. I don't know whether some of you know Janelle Kuntz and her brother Gordon. So they came over. They were with us. They came over from Cincy to London and kind of met up with them. And I've stayed in touch with them, so I'm going to meet them for a beer later on this afternoon. And then it's kind of tailgating tomorrow and having a wander around before the big game kicks off at 2 o'clock local time. So
well, I think Big Jim's got some tailgating action going on tomorrow. I think Jeremy, Bengals captain, is going to be around as well. So there will be plenty of familiar faces there to go and say hello to, I think.
Right, I'm definitely going to look out for those guys as well, because it would be good to see them again. So
yeah, absolutely.
Really cool.
Tell us about the stadium, Dave. It looks fairly impressive. What's it like from the inside?
Yeah, it does. It's kind of it is big. I think 77,000 capacity. The tour is very much focused on Lamar Hunt, because obviously we play for the Lamar Hunt Trophy tomorrow. So they're really quite into the history of the American Football League and what Lamar Hunt did to kind of set it all up. And he did a lot of other things as well in terms of soccer and other sports. So he's a real local hero. So that was good. But the place itself looks amazing. They boast that it's going to be the kind of the noisiest place on God's earth. Supposedly it's the noisiest ground ever. They got to 142 decibels, which is louder than any other ground's got to. Well, certainly according to them anyway. So and I was very lucky. So I got into the locker rooms. So that was good as well, because I know if you have a stadium tour today, you don't get in. You know, it's only if you went on Friday. But what I would say is the people are so damn friendly. You could not wish to meet a nicer bunch of people. Everyone's been so kind, so helpful, so friendly. So yeah, it's just been a really good visit.
Excellent. So you'll be. It's all very well and being very nice and being very friendly, but how nice and friendly will they be when they get the loss and the Bengals take the win out of the stadium?
Yeah, that could be a little bit different. I might need to find a bag from a Cincy top. That yeah, might have to go into plain clothes quite quickly if we were to get the big win. But
Matthew
I think we stand a chance.
Matthew Cattrall says, "What station did Dave get on?" I'm not quite sure what he means. Is it the airport or station? Well, you went to the Union Station, didn't you? That
TV station, I think you might mean.
The TV station, right? Okay. Do you know?
Yeah. Do you know what? Because when I spoke to the guy, he just said, "Look, you know, thanks ever so much for doing this, but you'll never get to see it." And I just really forgot all about it. And then earlier this morning, I don't know if any of you guys know Barbara Boots and the family there. So another family from Cincinnati who came over to London, certainly on the first one. I'm not sure if they came over on the second. So I'm friends with them, and they sent me the actual video. So if you want, I certainly don't mind posting it. If I wasn't going to, but if you're interested,
what, a physical VHS?
Not quite. They just kind of sent me a LinkedIn messenger, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that when you get back. But of course, we'll share it definitely. Give us a weather report. It looks we're seeing beautiful blue skies behind you, Dave.
Yeah. It's absolutely glorious. The weather is lovely today. Yesterday it was the same sort of deep blue sky, but it was freezing. It was absolutely freezing. You know, they've got strange ways of doing temperature, and it was like 22 degrees, which I think probably in our money is -5 or 6. So it was bitterly cold, but actually it's not too bad today. And the weather's meant to be okay for Sunday. It's going to be a bit colder than it is today, but not too bad. So yeah.
And before we let you go, Dave, just let's have a quick prediction. We'll, of course, raise a beer for you tomorrow night. But what quick prediction?
Yeah, I think we're going to get another Evan game-winning field goal with time expiring. So 26-23.
Like it. Dave, nice. You're a star, mate. Have the best time. Enjoy it. And as I say, bring back a big fat W with you, will you?
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me on. You know, I always listen to the show. Always love your podcast. So thanks ever so much. And I'll speak to you all soon. Okay?
All right, mate. Take care.
Cheers, Dave.
Good old Dave there. Don't worry, Duncan. Got rid of you there for a second. Now, Dave did say that they were being nice and friendly, but I saw this video on social media. That seems to be a block of Bengals branded ice and some Skyline chili, and they didn't particularly like the chili there. Let's bring in Mike Smith, shall we? He's been patiently waiting. Yeah. Mike, how you doing?
Good day, gents. I'm very well. Quite a bit nervous before the game tomorrow. I think, Dad, as you'll identify with this, but you know, in football, when you play your local rival, in your case, the Blades, Derby belly. I've got a real case of Derby belly at the minute, all the butterflies.
Too deeply there.
Yeah, it's more nerves than anything else, Paul. It's nothing. It's nothing like that. But you know, I'm really confident for tomorrow. Nice to see that I don't know what the mascot's there. So the Kansas City goofball was already stoking the fire a bit. Clearly showing that if they can't handle the chili, then how the hell are they going to handle Burrow and the gang?
Well, exactly. Dean Jones on message says, really good to see all the happy faces today. Who day? Ronald again. Usually you see 49ers or Cowboy fans or one of the big teams. Hardly see any Bengals fans. I think that might be changing these days. Andrew Knott. Joe Burrow's 7-0 versus the teams he will have faced twice this year, the Ravens, Steelers, Raiders, Chiefs. His mental strength analysis is great anytime, but seeing a defense twice helps us and him. And so lots of people excited, Mike. How are you feeling about the game? That's the big question.
Well, I'm quietly confident because I think you saw in my prediction that the Bengals this season, when their backs are against the wall and they have to get a result, they're generally fine in doing so. There's a cold sort of execution about the team this season, and I think that's in part to obviously who's signal calling, but also the coordination of the team as well. And I think the Kansas City game, there's been a lot of talk about the atmosphere. And don't get me wrong, they have all the records of decibels, etc. But Burrow and most of this team have played in environments where, like college football in the SEC, is a religion to them. It's second after breathing in terms of how they get how they get through the day. He knows how to handle this. I think, given that experience, to them, a dodgy atmosphere in Kansas City isn't going to be so much of an issue. I think what could be an issue is the fact they're on the road and the officiating may tend to sway further with the home team, but we mustn't let that get under our skin or at any stage put the games in the officials' hands. But I'm confident that this Chiefs team defensively is suspect. If we can put up 35 points in week 17, the Bills come into Kansas City and very nearly won, and sometimes we're basically Toby carving the Chiefs up at points. I think that we're more than capable of doing the same. And I think as this season's gone on, the team's resilience has got better and better in facing adversity, and we're coming into good form riding into this game. And I think deep down that Kansas City know this, and they know they're in for a tough game. You know, why not us? I've got complete faith in the team. We've got this. Burrow's got this. I think I said like 38-35 at the gun. It'll be heart attack time, I'm afraid. Not a game for the faint-hearted, but I think we got this.
Mike, I like your point about must-win games this season, and that takes me back to the stat about Joe Burrow must-win games. He's in his career, his must-win games at the end of the 2019 LSU season. He defeated Alabama. He defeated Georgia in the SEC title game. And then in the national championships, he beat Oklahoma in the semi-final. He beat Clemson in the final. This season, Baltimore Ravens at home, the Kansas City Chiefs at home, the Raiders, and then the Titans. He's 8-0 in must-win games. And in that time, he's passed for 3,261 yards. That's 407 yards a game, 29 touchdowns, and that somewhat dubious interception last week was the only interception. This guy steps up when the lights are at the brightest, and it's a must-win scenario, and we must take some confidence and faith in that.
Right, Mike. We've got to press on, but thank you for coming on.
No problem, gents.
Great to talk to you,
Always
mate.
great to hear from you. Who day, you know, let's go Bengals. Let's get that win tomorrow. Let's send us all home happy and send us all home delirious for the next 2 weeks leading up to the big one.
Absolutely.
Good day, Mike.
All right, Mike.
See you guys. Cheers.
See ya.
Well, what a frantic start. We've had all sorts going on. We've got all sorts going on as well throughout the rest of the show. This is our old friend, Mike Sauce. He's done a little TikTok video with his pal, Brendan.
Welcome back to Sports Sauce, your home for unbiased sports analysis. And boy, do we have a big weekend coming up. NFL Championship Weekend win, and you're in the Super Bowl. Punch your ticket, baby. Mike, what do you think? Mike? Mike?
To beat the Chiefs or not beat the Chiefs? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler to suffer the runs and throws of Patrick Mahomes and the TikTok dances of his cringy brother, or to take arms against a sea of red at Arrowhead and by Burrow to chase, end them, to Houday, to win, perchance to advance to the Super Bowl, 'tis an outcome devoutly to be wished. Who day?
There we go. There's our old friend Mike Sauce. Follow him at the Mike Sauce on Twitter. Duncan, are you feeling Shakespearean? Are you feeling the blood boiling within you? Are you excited? The sinews stiffening and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know where this sort of Shakespearean element has come in, but I've got to say I'm a fan of it, to be honest with you.
Well, Mike improvises Shakespeare stuff in New York, and he's done something on this podcast before, but he was quite happy for us to show that video. So, you know, who better than to get people stoked up than old Shaky, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We mentioned earlier there are a couple of meetups. So here's just a reminder of what we're going to be doing tomorrow night. Yes, meetups tomorrow night in London at the Cincinnati Chili Bomb restaurant from 7 o'clock onwards, and the Brotherhood bar in Manchester from 7:45 onwards. Jamie will be manning that meetup, so do go and say hello. He's booked a couple of tables, so go and say hello to Jamie. We've got someone waiting in the wings, so let's bring in Sam Campbell. Sam, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Cheers. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, pretty good. How are you feeling?
Not too bad. I was one that you mentioned in the pod with COVID this weekend, so slight dampener on.
And first things first, how are you feeling, man?
To be honest, pretty much fine. which is a good thing. So, yeah, it was annoying. About an hour before I did a test, I'd made a booking for a pub for the weekend.
Right.
I'd convinced all my pals around here to come and join me. None of them were really interested in it, but I thought, you know, when you say one win from a Super Bowl, people suddenly realise they know what you're talking about. So I got them all rallied up, and then there we go. But I'm excited still, though.
Yeah. So how are you feeling about the game, Sam? What were your thoughts about it? I mean, where are you based in the UK, first and foremost?
I'm in Hull.
Okay. Oh, yes, I can see that in the background there. Yeah. So Tigers, you've gone for Tigers all the way through, basically. That's the theme.
That was, to be honest, I've been a Hull City fan for a long time. And then when I was at uni, my friends sort of started getting me into NFL, and I did the classic thing of, what team shall I support? Had a little look around, and I thought, well, I support one Tiger team, might as well make it a second. And at that point, this was about 2013. So I thought, you know, that's a pretty good team, making playoffs most years. You know, what's the worst could happen?
Well, yeah,
it was
exactly.
downhill after that.
I think we've all got a similar story. I was like, yeah, this team's good, isn't it? I've made the right decision here, and then bang, no, not at all.
But that's always an interesting way to find out how people found their way to the Bengals. That's quite a logical one, supporting Hull City, the Tigers. So
yeah.
So, what's your prediction for tomorrow night, Sam? Where do you think this game is going to be won or lost?
I think we can do it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Watching that ridiculous Bills-Chiefs game scared me. Towards the end of the game, I was just thinking, we're going to have to play one of these. I don't know which one I would choose. And Tyrann Mathieu looks like he's back for the Chiefs, which is a bad thing for us. I don't know. I think just try and just stop them from turning it into a shootout. I think just there's been lots of talk about, do we want to try and run it a lot? You know, do we want to just let Joe Burrow sling it? I personally, I'd love a boring game, control it, just try and keep Pat on the side and just grind it out. I think, because as we saw, when it becomes a shootout, Patrick Mahomes is close to unbeatable. So.
No, I'm with you, mate. I think we all are. Sam, listen, we've got to move on, but thank you so much for coming on. Do come on again. Hopefully, we'll be doing this in 2 weeks' time. So
we will see.
We'll see. All right, mate. Good
thanks
to
for having me.
Have a good one and feel better soon.
Take care.
Yeah, cheers.
Take care.
Poor old Sam there.
Yeah.
But at least he's feeling okay. That's the main thing. We've got to crack on. We're waiting for our musical guest that may or may not turn up, but Duncan, if I said to you Kansas City, what would be the first thing that would come to your mind?
I think the number one thing is Mahomes.
No, Kansas City as a city, forget football for a second. We'll talk football in a moment, but what's the number one thing in terms of what would you think of first if someone said
the barbecue, Paul? It's got to be the barbecue.
It's like we wrote this segue, didn't we? But I can assure you we didn't.
Smooth.
I managed to catch up with someone, O'Fay with Kansas City Barbecue earlier, who's going to tell us all about it. So strap in for some minutes while I talk to someone. Okay, well, as promised, we do like to delve into our food. And as I explained earlier, we do have a special guest from the Prairie Fire restaurant in London. It's Michael Gratz. Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Very excited and looking forward to it. And I guess you are too, because you are from Kansas City, correct?
Yeah. Well, I lived in Kansas City for a long time. I was born in St. Louis, but lived in both. I'm basically from the Midwest, but yeah, most recently in Kansas City.
Now, you run the Prairie Fire restaurant. So just tell us a little bit about the place and what you kind of serve there.
Sure. It all started, my wife and I moved over here about 10 years ago from Kansas City, and I couldn't find any good barbecue, Kansas City style barbecue. And I grew up, doing barbecue, went to culinary school. My stepbrother-in-law, he won the American Royal, the Open, and I I always wanted a food business. I started doing street food over here, and then that moved into catering, and then the next step was a restaurant. So, you know, we opened right before the pandemic, you know, but everybody's in the same boat there. But what we do is barbecue, Kansas City style, but also a lot of Midwestern comfort foods. You know, we do great burgers and hot dogs, and you know, our backbone is barbecue, though.
Yeah, well, we've spoken about barbecue on the tailgate before. The UK is fairly rubbish at barbecue. So first things first, what characterizes Kansas City barbecue? Because we hear about Texas stuff and brisket here and brisket there and pulled pork here and pulled pork there. What characterizes a Kansas City barbecue? Is it the flavor? Is it the meat? Is it the cooking style? Tell us. I'm really eager to know.
Yeah, well, Kansas City, there's the, like you said, there's Texas style, there's Kansas City style, there's the Carolinas. Kansas City has barbecued meats, all the meats, not just brisket, not just pork, not just, you know, but we do ribs, brisket, turkey, chicken, all the meats. And we also have that sauce. You know, we pride ourselves in Kansas City. There's over 100. They all make their own barbecue sauce. It's tomato-based, sweet, smoky, you know, with a little bit of molasses. That is Kansas City style. Basically, we have a wet barbecue. Whereas Texas, they're brisket. They're a beef town. The Carolinas, that's all pork. You know, you got Memphis for ribs, but in Kansas City, we do it all, and you know, we have a sauce.
So
that's basically Kansas City barbecue.
Right. So what's I mean, in your opinion, is it the best out of the lot? I'm sure each of those regions would claim to have the best barbecue in the country, and I'm guessing you would stick up for Kansas City barbecue, right?
You got to be humble. You know, is it my favorite? Yes, but you know, there's great Texas barbecue. There's some really good brisket there. Some of the ribs in Memphis are wonderful. You know, Carolina's whole hog. That's quite an undertaking. But Kansas City, we have them all, and I would say, you know, arguably it's debatable. Some of the best restaurants, barbecue restaurants in the U.S. are in fact in Kansas City. Everybody knows Aaron Franklin down in Austin, but you know, Kansas City has a lot of ma and pa kind of barbecue joints that are out of this world.
Okay, well, we'll hold it there for part one, but we'll be back in a second with Michael. Yes, as promised, it's back with Michael at Prairie Fire in London. Michael, tell us about what you do there. I mean, at Prairie Fire there, what have you got there in terms of barbecuing setup, and how long typically does the process take? If you get, say, just a big chunk of beef, for instance, how long does the whole process take from the start of cooking to getting it on a plate? And describe that process, if you will.
Yeah, so what we use USDA briskets, the Packer cuts. So it's the whole brisket. It's USDA American beef. It's corn and grain fed. You need the fat content. British beef is great for steaks and burgers, but it's all grass fed. It does not have the fat content that you need for low and slow smoking. So we do have the beef imported. It's very expensive, but you know, for this style of cooking, you have to have a nice marble and a lot of fat, because that renders out through the cooking process. From start to finish, you have to trim it. Unfortunately, there's so much fat on these briskets, you have to trim off a lot that you have to pay for ahead of time. Trim it and then rub it. And we sometimes let it marinate, dry rub, like a dry brine overnight in the fridge. And then we put it in the smoker, and it goes from 14 to 16 hours at a really low heat. Here in England, I would have loved to use pecan wood, but what we have access to is oak. So we smoke it with oak wood. And that is, like I said, 14 to 16 hours. We pull them, and let them rest, and then carve them and enjoy.
We all read and watch videos about. One of my closest friends is obsessed with watching pitmaster videos on YouTube. And is that something that you would describe yourself as? And have you learned from any kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi style pit people back in the States where they've kind of shared their knowledge? It feels like that kind of deal, you know.
You know, when I first started, I've been barbecuing for 20 plus years. When I first started, I would watch some of those videos back in the States, and I worked with, like I said, my in-laws, and he doing competition barbecue. They make amazing barbecue, but they make it for the judges, and they make the perfect bite. So there's a lot of manipulation that goes into making the perfect bite of barbecue. That does not translate into a business, though. So those guys, they spend big money on Wagyu beef, and they do injecting to the beef to make basically anymore. No, a lot of those. Everybody's got a secret, but I don't think, you know, it just takes a lot of practice. And if you stick to the fundamentals of, you know, consistent temperatures, and, you know, you can play with all different types of rubs and sauce flavor combinations that way. But no, I'd say, no, there's my days of the Obi-Wan Kenobi trying to find the YouTube videos. they're over. You know, we've got a flavor profile that people have come to know, and we're not going to change up.
Just finally, Michael, as we mentioned earlier, the UK is pretty rubbish at barbecue. The barbecue in this country means putting a few frozen sausages on a little cheap barbecue out on a drizzly summer's day. Have you got any tips for people watching this at home to instantly improve their barbecue and get something a little bit like what you guys serve?
Well, you know, you say that the barbecue over here is terrible, and it was for a long time. But there's a growing, very dedicated community of barbecuers in the UK now. I'd give a shout out to Country Wood Smoke. He's doing amazing things with barbecue schools, and really teaching and owning barbecue and making a name for it over here in the UK. But to improve barbecue techniques over here, it would be start with a great piece of meat. You know, you get to know your local butcher. Go easy. Don't burn it. If the equipment that you use matters, you know, the charcoal, all the elements that go into it. It's just like any kind of cooking. You know, you start with good ingredients, and it's a little bit of technique, and you'll probably come out with something pretty good. But like I said, temperature regulation, make sure you have an instant read thermometer to make sure that you don't overcook it. And with beef, it's hard to oversalt things.
Right.
So.
Okay. Michael, thank you so much. I think you probably whetted a lot of people's appetites. Where can people find Prairie Fire in London?
Yeah, so we're in West London. We're in White City, so right outside Westfield Mall. We've got 2 railway arches, and we're underneath the Wood Lane tube station. So
okay, cool.
This is one of the archways. You know, if you like craft beer, we got 16 craft taps, and you know, all our barbecue and Midwestern comfort foods. But West London.
Okay, well, maybe we'll try and get you on again at some point down the line, because I'd love to see what goes on in the kitchen. Maybe we can arrange that at some point.
Absolutely.
But Michael, oh, there we go. Now it comes out. I see. Well, I'm gonna say thank you for joining us, and lovely to meet you. But I'm not going to say anything about the game or your cap there. So
no. You guys, it's going to be an amazing game. I think it's a great matchup, and may the better team win. You know, you guys are going to be hard to beat.
Absolutely. Well, let's hope for a good game, and I'm sure people will be tucking into their homemade bits and pieces tomorrow. But Michael, thank you so much, man. It's really great to meet you.
You bet, Paul. Take care.
I'm hungry now.
There we go. He ruined it. He ruined it, didn't he? He had to go and ruin it right at the end. Well, yeah, Dean Jones just said, I was liking this guy until that moment. Absolutely. What did he have to do that for? Duncan, I saw you licking your lips there. Are you a barbecue fan? And if so, do you partake? And is it something that you indulge in at all?
Yeah, I mean, when I've been to the States, I try and indulge in it. I think, as you alluded to, we don't treat barbecue the same way as the Americans do. You know, this low and slow. We're like, put a bit of sauce on it and whack it in the oven, and then that'll do. You know, or like you say, obviously with barbecue, you know, just get the old 50 quid one out from B&Q, and that's the extent of it. Whereas, you know, I used to watch programs like Man versus Food and things like that, and they'd talk about smoking something for a day, and you think, where in the UK will they smoke something for a day? They just, you know, like I say, it's just get a bit of sauce on it and chuck it out, sort of thing, half the time. So yeah, I mean, absolutely for people bringing barbecue and American food over to the UK, and hopefully might buck the ideas up of a few people over here who are serving us with our meals.
And as Michael said, that there are barbecue schools, there are barbecue courses, there's lots of YouTube videos out there. So if you do fancy having a go at making your own smoker or trying all that sort of business, then there's lots of things that you can look up and find out and educate yourself. Pete, you've got some breaking news for us.
Yeah, I mean, usually at this time I'm getting the breaking news of the Bengals inactives for the game. Obviously, we haven't got that, but it's just come across the wires that Tom Brady appears to be announcing his retirement after 22 fairly successful seasons in the NFL. I mean, I think when it comes to NFL, or when it comes to sportsmen, he's up there with your Michael Jordans and your Jack Nicklaus's, as someone who's just dominated his sport and will be seen as the best that there is. But if I can paraphrase the phrase that was used on the accession to the throne of Charles VII, the king is dead, long live the King Borough.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to Brady for an amazing career. Another quarterback has retired. We shan't be wishing him congratulations too much, I don't think. It's going to be a fun off-season, but we can't talk about that yet because we are in it. We are here. We are one game away from the Super Bowl. We've still got some more stuff to come, so we might overrun a little bit, I think. Now, after the barbecue... Say that again, Duncan.
It's the playoffs.
Exactly. Who cares? Who cares? We can go for as long as we want.
We have an extended version.
Yeah. If you're going to eat some barbecue, you need something to drink. And here is Moz with his weekly beer recommendation.
How are we doing? We're here, the AFC Championship Game. I can't quite believe I'm doing this video, to be honest. Well, if you asked me to start the season, I definitely don't think I'll be doing this. But I feel we win last week, and we did, and it was a deserved win, I think, as well. I think good game of football. You know, that entire weekend was just amazing. That is exactly why we love the NFL, you know, and just what a flex, isn't it? Especially when your team's as good as it is, and it's got a super bright future as well. You know, it is crazy, great times to be a Bengals fan, and I'm just proud as punch for everyone from the Brown family, the Blackburn family, and all the way down to the coach staff and the players, and obviously the Cincinnati fans. You know, and you go week in, week out, and you've watched misery and pain and anguish for so long, and all that time, you know, I get being a Stoke fan as well. You imagine a lot of teams, people who follow teams who aren't one of the big clubs, all that pain, just for that few moments of just sheer ecstasy like we are right now, that's what makes us fans of these type of teams, and there's no better feeling. I rarely cry now. I haven't stopped crying. Last 2 games we've played, I've cried after, and I never cry. Even at funerals, I just don't cry. I'm just so proud, And with celebratory things comes great beer. The first beer I will recommend is called Il Ritorno del Sol. It is a collab between Cloudwater and Pastor. It's a sour IPA, 7.5%. It's a grapefruit, lime, and passion fruit sour. But it's got quite a lot of hops in there. So it's not a sour, it's not an IPA, it's a blend of the two. And it's a style I'm a really quite a big fan of, to be honest. If it's done wrong, it's not great, but this is done well. Americans, like pioneers of this type of style, they nail it out the park. But it's a good beer, nice balance between the sourness and the hoppiness and the passion fruit, and obviously the fruits work together really well. It's a really good beer. And I said last week, if we get to this stage, I will recommend a Ohioan. Is it Ohioan? Is it? I don't know. Not really from there. I don't really know. Based brewery. Sadly, they're based in Akron, which is basically Cleveland. Sorry, we don't get many Ohio beers over here, really, apart from Jack Hughes, and Jack Hughes are fancy. We do, but they aren't that common. And this one is the Morning After Den Haag. Strange name. And this is, you ready for it? It's 16.65% Old Ale. I don't think I've ever recommended an Old Ale before on here. It's probably the strongest beer I think I've recommended as well. It's only a small can. It's quite expensive, but obviously the size, you don't want a big can. And with this, it is bourbon barrel aged and maple barrel aged. So obviously you get a lot of maple, you get a lot of the vanilla, bourbon, woody character. There's also quite a lot of the sticky toffee pudding. It is just, it's a sipper. You take your time. This is the type of beer I've been drinking after, we've won the last 2 games, just to going from sheer ecstasy and crying, which I never do, but I have the last 2 weeks. It's just something just to wind down and watch the second game as it's been, and just like, I think having that beer and them type of beers and big stouts and stuff, it's just, for me, it's just heaven, and it's just so relaxing. But yeah, here we are, AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. It's anything like week 17, win or lose, it's going to be the best game I've seen as a Bengals fan, involving the Bengals, and do that again. But yeah, have a great Sunday. If you're in Manchester or London, hope you all have a great time. Sadly, I won't be there. But yeah, have a great time, and all you lot over in Ohio and everywhere else in America, this is all for you guys, and let's do it, eh? Let's get to that Super Bowl. Uday.
There you go. Thanks to Moz there. 16.1% beer there. That's something. Well, I'm not sure about winding down. I think it would hit me over the head and cause me to go to sleep quite quickly, I think. But little secret, Moz dropped 9 F-bombs in his original video. I had to edit the heck out of that. So
I did notice a few little cuts, and
yeah, it wasn't perfect, but
that was the 16% working there.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. Duncan, how are we going to beat the Chiefs?
Well, I think I'd like to see us kind of go there's been a lot of talk about sort of run versus pass, and grinding the clock, and then using the run, but then obviously passing seems to be our strength, particularly while the O-line is not opening up many, if any, blocks. I think maybe we need to do the reverse of what people often say, which is use the run to set up the pass. And I think the key is using the pass to set up the run. We know we can pass against them. We know we can get yards against them. Throw in, a run every now and again, maybe the odd sort of gadget, or Mixon seems to do well on these counter runs. So a step to the right and then go left. The ones where he seems to struggle a bit more is obviously when he's just running straight into the line. They're the ones where you often see him get stopped for a yard or two. He does better when he seems to move out to the side in that sort of zone blocking scheme. So that would be my sort of take on it. Is I don't think you can go one. It can't be one or the other. I don't think the Chiefs will give you enough so that you can dominate with one or the other. They know what's coming now, same as we know what's coming from them. And I'd be surprised if they weren't doubling Chase this time. So you look to T and Tyler to get more touches. But yeah, I'd really like to see us sort of start to, obviously start off throwing the ball, some sort of West Coast, offense, get the yards, and then surprise them really with a few runs and see what it does to them when they're expecting the pass.
Yeah, I personally think it is going to be a lot more balanced this time. It depends. I mean, the last time we played them, Joe Boyd slung it all over the place because he had to, because they were 14 points down.
Yeah.
So you would hope
that's the point.
You would hope that that's not going to happen this time. It would be, if it is toe to toe, we don't get like crazy behind like we have been in various games this season. So I'm personally hoping for a much more balanced attack, but of course you can only do what the game situation dictates. Pete, do you agree with that? What are you thinking about?
Absolutely. I've been thinking exactly the same for a while. I mean, just looking back at predictions and predicting the way other games have gone, and I often found that it's gone the opposite way to the way you would commonly expect. And I wonder whether that is often down to a need to change game plan from the obvious, because the defensive coaches are obviously so clued up. And so I think if we went into this game expecting to chuck it all over the yard, the Chiefs are going to know that. The Chiefs saw what we did to them last time. They're going to know that. So I think going the opposite way might be, certainly in the initial stages, very important. Run it. Now, if we get ahead, you keep on running it. You keep number 15 off the pitch. You use the clock. You run the clock down by running the ball. Now, obviously, if we don't get a great deal of joy in the running game, as we didn't against the Titans, or we get far behind as we did in week 17, then you've got to lean a lot more on the pass play. But we've got to be a lot more balanced, and I would certainly love to see Mixon grinding it out for 20-25 carries for 100 plus. So definitely.
Right, guys, it's time for predictions. Your predictions. So I'm just going to play a little video here. Andrew Knotts agrees with you, Duncan. Sneaky feeling we show some gadget plays tomorrow. Seen none all year, but might need a fake punt, flea flicker, or design lateral to chase to keep drives going. There you go. We will see. 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, the Bengals did get to their second AFC Championship game. And on the way and on the run, there was similar atmosphere around Cincinnati. And, of course, the Who Dey chant and the Who Dey rap was all over the place. It was their kind of version of the FA Cup final song, really, when they got to the Super Bowl. The big news is that they've re-recorded it. Some familiar faces, some new faces, they've all re-recorded it. So while you have a think about predictions, drop them in the comments below. Let's watch this new version of the Who Dey rap.
Logan Wilson's got for Cincinnati. Right place, right time.
Who they think gon' beat them Bengals? Born and raised in the jungle, steady being all my humble, ayy. But when it comes to the field, y'all better pray I don't fumble. We done waited too many years, steady building up that hunger, so that mean when it's time to eat, we been ready to rumble. Tell them all we done came to fight. They gon' turn on the stadium lights. When they see the orange, black, and white, they gon' see how we earned our stripes. Loving every moment, show me my opponent. Look them in their eye, tell them they don't want it. That's that. Who they? Who they? Who they? Yeah, we let it sound. All brown, we gon' put it down. Show them this our town. Cincinnati, stand up. Fill that cup, another round. When we shout, who they? We don't hear sound. Get it sacked, push him back. Make them throw it out of bounds. Tell them get their weight up, cause we get it by the pound. Tell them welcome to the jungle. Where you see we wear the crown. Watch them hands go up when we touch down. That's that. Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who they think gon' beat them Bengals? Somebody. Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who they think gon' beat them Bengals? Somebody. Put it in turbo, passing the torch from one with the burrows. Ball is life, we cold as ice, you might need a thermal. We on a mission, got a couple of cats that can play their position. They can cut to the sides, or bust through the line from woods to mixing. Got the eye of the tiger, know a thing or two about going the distance. Whatever the case, McGee to Chase, Martin to Higgins. We told them to listen, and now everybody gotta watch us. Now all we gotta say is who they, if not us. Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who they think gon' beat them Bengals? Somebody. Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who they think gon' beat them Bengals? Somebody. Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who they think gon' beat them Bengals? Somebody. Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who? Who they? Who they? Who they? Who they think gon' beat them Bengals? Somebody.
There you go, getting the party started early. You may have recognised some old faces there. There was Icky Woods giving it some, Joe Kelly and David Fulcher and Ira Hillary, and of course our guest on last episode of the podcast, Eric Thomas. So fantastic to see them resurrected. Now, of course, Big Jim was down shaking his tail feather as well. So that was something. Danny Hawkins says, this game reminds me of LSU Alabama in 2019.
Yeah.
Tua was rated as the guy, but Burrow came in that day and took control and hushed a raucous and very noisy crowd of 101,000. All sounds very familiar, right?
That's
Yeah,
a great
absolutely. Absolutely. Ceiling Cat says, let the world keep sleeping on Joe Boy and the Bengals. They go into Arrowhead and quiet the crowd 41-34. I mean, who day to you, Ceiling Cat. If it's anything like that score, goodness me, what a game that's going to be. I mean, that's almost 90 points. Bengals. Dean Jones says Bengals 54, Kansas 14. All in for a blowout win. Because after all this time, why the heck not? Who day? And that's the point. Why not? I mean, it's not a case of why not us. It's just why not? It's a sporting contest between two teams, two good teams. Anything can happen. It's knockout sport. Literally anything can happen tomorrow. So, and we've got the weapons to hurt him, right?
I think you're right, but I think he's been on some of Moz's 16% proof. Though.
I think he might have been. Started early.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get your predictions. Duncan, give it to us. What you're saying for tomorrow night?
I'm going to give it from the heart and not the head. And I'm going to say...
I like it.
I'm going to say 27-21. I think the pressure's not on us. It's on Kansas. It's obviously the game's in Kansas City in front of their crowd. They're expected to win. They're expected to get to the Super Bowl. and that's what Borough loves, is to go out there and prove people wrong. And I think we can do it.
Pete, are you going to let your heart rule your head, or is the heart and the head in unison here?
This is a different level. This is a whole different level to what we played at before. And every player, every team has a ceiling. We haven't seen Burrow's ceiling yet. He surpasses every level that's placed before him. But I've got Bengals 31, Chiefs 34, I'm afraid. I think it ends here. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm so wrong. But there we go.
Dean says, hey, been here as a Bengals fan for a long time. I need the lift as much as anyone. Well, I mean, I was chuckling because I wasn't expecting that scoreline, Dean. But you're right. We've all been long suffering. Yeah. I think we all are really enjoying this run. But, how fantastic would it be to win tomorrow night? I mean, it would really be, I think, certainly in all my time as a Bengals fan, the best win I've ever seen. Just because the odds are so stacked against us, just because the Chiefs have scored 40 plus against defenses like Pittsburgh and Buffalo, to kind of beat them would be a fantastic achievement. Anna Pearson says Bengals 17-0 shutout. Smiley emoji. Loving the optimism, Anna. I mean, I think the heart and the head says two different things. How are we going to stop them? I think we can stop them, but I genuinely think we win. So my heart is saying Bengals 38, Chiefs 33. We'll see you in the Super Bowl. How about that?
Nice. And who do you want? Do you actually want the 49ers third time lucky? Or not?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we're breaking so many records this season, and kind of rewriting the club's history books. Then I would say yes. I mean, I would love to.
I hear you. I'm the other way, though. I'm the other way. The 49ers beat us earlier this season. I don't want to go into the Super Bowl with that. I want the Rams. If we get to the Super Bowl, I want the Rams. I want the Rams to beat the 49ers anyway, because I want Andrew Whitworth to have a chance of getting a ring.
There you go. Duncan, have you got a preference? I'm going 49ers just because it's a fantastic chance. Third time's a charm to get one over those bloody 49ers.
I think I'd probably say 49ers for the same reason. And I also think, to be honest with you, I know we lost to San Francisco, but that was just one of those weird games where we just weren't clicking. Nothing was going right in that game, really.
Well, we gave them like a 2 or 3 touchdown lead, didn't we? And then came roaring back,
And I think if you ask me who the quarterback I'd rather face is in the Super Bowl, I'd rather face Garoppolo anytime. And I think if you ask me about the defensive line, I think I'd rather avoid Aaron Donald. I still think we could probably, if we get there, I think we could probably beat the Rams, but I would take the 49ers for all of the above, really.
Andrew Knott, we'll finish with this. Houday chaps, love your work. See you on the other side and looking forward to preparing for the Super Bowl. How about that? Thank you for watching. We'll put this up tomorrow, so if you want a bit of a preview and a bit of something to watch before the game, do give us a watch. Do remember that we have meetups tomorrow. The Brotherhood in Manchester from 7:45. So if you do fancy coming along and watching the game with loads of other Bengals fans, and you're in the region, Sheffield, Liverpool, who in that kind of north and northwest area, go over to Manchester if you can, if you want to, obviously. And then if you're down south in London, we'll be at the Cincinnati Chili Bomb from 7 o'clock onwards. So do enjoy. We're going to play you out with our own little Shakespeare bit now. So, but I'm going to bid farewell to Pete. Pete, all the best. Enjoy the game.
Let's do this.
And goodbye to Duncan. Duncan, thank you so much.
Cheers, Paul. Houday, everyone. Let's go.
And it's a goodbye from Massive Face Me. So enjoy the game. We'll speak to you soon. Podcast on Monday. Meetups tomorrow. It's all happening in
Once more unto the breach, dear friends, once more. We'll close the wall up with our Bengali dead. In peace, there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favoured rage, then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let pry through the portage of the head, like the brass cannon, let the brower overwhelm it. As tearfully as doth the galled rock overhang and jutty his confounded base, swilled with the wilds and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide, hold hard the breath and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest Ohioan, whose blood is fetched from fathers of war-proof. Fathers that, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts from morn till even fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonour not your mothers, now attest, that those whom you called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in Cincinnati, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not, for there is none of you so mean and base, that hath not noble lustre in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge, cry God for Zach Cincinnati and St. Joe Boy.